a quiet neighborhood far from the spotlight lived Jamal Robert, a young man full of dreams and hope. Life seemed ordinary, but soon everything would change forever. But behind the calm surface, a tragedy was unfolding, one that shocked the community and left questions no one saw coming. What happened to Jamal? And why did his story touch so many hearts? Jamal's life took a heartbreaking turn when an unexpected event shattered everything he knew. From hopeful beginnings to devastating loss, his story reveals a harsh reality few are ready to face, but one that demands to be heard. Jamal Roberts' journey on American Idol started like a dream come true for many young singers. But for Jamal, it was much more than just a competition. It was a lifeline. From the very first time he stepped on stage, his voice carried not just talent, but a deep, raw emotion that resonated with the audience and judges alike. Jamal wasn't just singing songs, he was telling his story through every note. Raised in a neighborhood where opportunities were scarce and dreams often went unfulfilled, Jamal's passion for music was his way out, a beacon of hope in an otherwise difficult life. Viewers quickly fell in love with his humble nature and his undeniable charisma, rooting for him as he climbed each round of the competition. His backstory added a layer of depth to his performances, a young man fighting against the odds, trying to make something beautiful out of his pain. Every time Jamal sang, it was as if he was speaking for thousands who had been overlooked or forgotten. Yet, beneath the applause and bright lights, Jamal was carrying burdens no one could see. This opening chapter of his story sets the stage for a journey filled with promise, but also shadows, showing that the path to fame is rarely as perfect as it seems. As the competition intensified and Jamal's star rose higher, so did the expectations. And the question on everyone's mind was, could this gifted young man withstand the pressures of sudden fame, or would his past catch up with him? Keep watching to discover the hidden struggles behind Jamal Roberts' inspiring rise on American Idol, and the heartbreaking truth that few were prepared for. While millions watched Jamal Roberts pour his heart out on American Idol, very few knew the difficult life he was escaping from, one filled with hardship, loss, and constant struggle. Born into a neighborhood plagued by poverty and violence, Jamal's early years were marked by uncertainty and challenges that shaped who he was. Music wasn't just a hobby for him. It was a vital source of strength and hope amid the chaos. Growing up, Jamal often had to navigate situations far beyond the worries of an average teenager, experiencing the instability of family issues, the weight of community expectations, and the pressure to survive in an environment that rarely allowed for dreams to flourish. Despite all of this, Jamal found solace in music, learning to channel his pain and frustration into melodies that told stories of resilience and hope. The streets that many saw as dangerous and unforgiving were, for Jamal, the backdrop to a fight for a better life, one that only he could win through talent and determination. But even as he gained fame and recognition on national television, those roots didn't disappear overnight. The emotional scars of his past lingered, hidden behind the confident smile and polished performances. The contrast between the hopeful image seen by millions and the reality Jamal faced every day highlights the complexity of his story, a reminder that success on the surface doesn't always mean peace underneath. This part of Jamal's journey reveals how deeply intertwined his music and personal history are, setting up the tragic twists that would later shake his world and the hearts of those who believed in him. As Jamal Roberts advanced in the competition, dazzling judges and fans with his talent, the intense spotlight began to reveal cracks in the armor he had built. Behind the scenes, Jamal was grappling with anxiety and self-doubt, feelings that many who witness fame rarely consider. The pressure to constantly perform at his best, to live up to the growing expectations of a nation watching his every move, weighed heavily on him. Fame, while often seen as the ultimate goal for artists like Jamal, came with a darker side, one that can isolate and overwhelm. Jamal's inner battles were largely invisible to the public. He masked his struggles with determination and professionalism, refusing to let anyone see his vulnerabilities. However, those close to him noticed the shift. The late-night calls filled with worry, the moments of silence between rehearsals, and the growing distance from friends and family. This emotional toll wasn't just about nerves before a performance. It was the heavy cost of trying to reconcile his past trauma with his present reality. Jamal was caught between two worlds, the hopeful dreamer the public adored and the vulnerable young man fighting to keep himself together. The burden of expectations, both external and internal, began to chip away at his spirit, forcing him to question whether he could survive the intense scrutiny of fame without losing himself. This part of the story emphasizes that talent and fame are not always enough to protect someone from personal demons, and sets the stage for the heartbreaking moments to come. Despite the growing internal struggles, Jamal Roberts' performances on American Idol continued to inspire millions. Week after week, he poured his soul into every song, captivating audiences with a voice full of emotion and honesty. His journey became a symbol of hope, proof that no matter where you come from, you can rise above your circumstances with passion and dedication. Jamal's story inspired fans not only because of his voice, but because of the resilience he showed every time he faced a challenge and pushed through it. He was more than a contestant. He was a beacon for anyone who had ever felt like giving up on their dreams. His raw vulnerability and openness connected with people from all walks of life, turning him into a role model beyond the music stage. Yet this period was also a bittersweet time. While the world saw a shining star, Jamal continued to carry heavy emotional baggage that threatened to pull him under. The constant effort to hide his pain while performing at his best was exhausting. Jamal's journey during these weeks reveals the paradox of fame, the joy of being celebrated mixed with the loneliness of facing personal battles in private. His courage to keep going despite everything was remarkable, but it also masked a growing storm that few expected to break. This chapter in Jamal's story highlights both the power of music to heal and the hidden struggles that can come with chasing a dream under the bright lights. As the competition progressed, the weight of Jamal's hidden struggles began to take a toll that even the brightest stage lights couldn't mask. Friends and family started noticing the subtle changes. The once vibrant and outgoing young man became quieter, more withdrawn, and emotionally distant. The pressure of constantly having to perform, combined with the unresolved pain from his past, created a pressure cooker inside Jamal's heart and mind. Behind his smiles and confident exterior was a young man grappling with the heavy burden of anxiety and depression, feelings that were worsened by the relentless scrutiny of the public eye. The contrast between his outward success and internal turmoil was heartbreaking. Many believed Jamal was simply focused on winning or preparing for the next round. But those who truly knew him understood that he was fighting an invisible battle much harder than any stage performance. His emotional withdrawal was a cry for help, disguised by the exhaustion of pretending everything was okay. This part of Jamal's journey shows how fame can sometimes isolate those who are suffering the most, making it harder for them to reach out and find support. It also sets up the heartbreaking turn in his story, when the cracks finally became too deep to hide, and the young star's fight took a tragic and unexpected twist. Just weeks after American Idol wrapped up for Jamal Roberts, the vibrant spirit that had once captivated millions began to fade in ways that shocked everyone who cared about him. Those closest to Jamal noticed alarming changes. He was no longer the energetic, hopeful young man who had dazzled the nation. Instead, he became distant, quiet, and withdrawn, shutting out the world that had once celebrated him. The pressure and emotional toll of his journey had caught up with him in full force. Rumors began to circulate about Jamal's mental health, and fans grew concerned as social media posts became less frequent and more cryptic. The young artist who had once used music as his escape seemed to be losing his grip on the very thing that had saved him. Despite the love and support from fans and friends, Jamal's pain was profound, and his struggle was no longer something he could hide behind catchy performances or hopeful smiles. This moment in Jamal's story is a powerful reminder that fame does not protect anyone from the challenges of mental illness or emotional crisis. The joyful spotlight that once shone on Jamal now felt suffocating, and his silence spoke volumes about the depth of his pain. This chapter foreshadows the heartbreaking news that would soon break. News that would shock not just his fans, but the entire music community. As Jamal Roberts' personal struggles deepened, the media began to seek answers, trying to uncover what was happening behind the scenes. Yet, Jamal remained guarded, choosing to keep his pain private in a world that often misunderstands vulnerability as weakness. The fame he had worked so hard for now felt like a cage, where every moment of weakness might be judged or exploited. This fear kept him from reaching out for the help he desperately needed, isolating him further in his darkest moments. Jamal's silence spoke to the stigma many face around mental health, especially in the spotlight, where the pressure to appear strong is immense. While the public only saw a brief glimpse of his struggles, the reality was much harsher. A young man battling not just his own emotions, but the overwhelming expectations of a society that often forgets the human behind the celebrity. His reluctance to share his pain was heartbreaking but understandable, revealing the loneliness that can come with fame. This stage of Jamal's story highlights a critical issue faced by many artists: the difficulty of seeking support when the world expects you to be perfect. It prepares the audience for the devastating moment when the tragedy at the heart of Jamal's story finally comes to light. The heartbreak that fans feared became real when news broke that Jamal Roberts had been hospitalized following a serious mental health crisis. The music world was stunned. How could someone who had just been on the cusp of stardom, glowing under the American Idol spotlight, be suffering so deeply in silence? This revelation shattered the illusion that fame equals happiness or stability. Jamal's hospitalization was a powerful wake-up call about the unseen battles so many face no matter how successful they appear. The outpouring of support from fans, fellow artists, and mental health advocates was overwhelming. Yet the pain Jamal endured reminded everyone that mental illness is not a simple battle to win or lose. It's a complex and ongoing fight. The crisis forced a broader conversation about the pressures on young performers and the urgent need for better mental health support within the entertainment industry. Jamal's story moved beyond the stage, shining a light on the vulnerability behind the glamour and challenging viewers to rethink how they view and support artists dealing with personal struggles. This chapter in Jamal's life is a deeply emotional turning point, one that exposes the true cost of fame and the courage it takes just to ask for help. In the wake of Jamal Roberts' hospitalization, the music community and fans rallied around him, sending messages of love, hope, and encouragement. Fellow artists shared their own stories of struggle, creating a wave of solidarity that highlighted how common these hidden battles really are. For many, Jamal became a symbol not just of talent, but of resilience and the importance of compassion. However, despite the flood of support, Jamal's road to recovery remained uncertain. Mental health is a journey without a clear finish line, and the tragedy in Jamal's story is a sobering reminder of how fragile that journey can be. The young artist's pain touched a nerve with countless people who had faced similar challenges but often suffered in silence. Jamal's story became a catalyst for greater awareness, breaking down the stigma around mental illness and urging fans to pay attention to the signs of struggle in those they admire. This part of the narrative highlights the importance of community, empathy, and the ongoing battle many face even after the headlines fade. It leaves viewers with a mixture of hope and heartbreak, hope for Jamal's healing and heartbreak for the pain he endured, and sets the stage for the powerful message revealed in the final part. The heartbreaking tragedy of Jamal Roberts from American Idol is more than just a story of talent lost or a star who struggled behind the scenes. It is a powerful lesson about mental health, resilience, and the urgent need to change how we view those battling invisible battles. Jamal's journey reveals that fame and success don't shield anyone from pain, and that sometimes the brightest stars burn the fastest. But his story also leaves us with a message Jamal wanted the world to hear, that no one is truly alone, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. By sharing his story, we honor not just Jamal's voice, but his courage to face his demons in silence. His tragedy calls on all of us to look beyond the surface, to listen without judgment, and to support those who may be fighting in silence. The real payoff here is the awareness and compassion Jamal's story inspires, a chance to save lives by breaking the silence and ending the stigma. This message is the legacy Jamal leaves behind, urging us all to be kinder, more understanding, and to never underestimate the power of hope and human connection.